Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the We'll Fix It team. I've got a doozy today. This thing right here, let me do a little explaining. I'll flip the camera around so you can see what I'm talking about. But let me show you what I found. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unplug the connector and we're going to pull it apart. We're going to look at the pin out and see with the, because this end right here is the female end of it, and that's the male end of it. And so there's a possibility the part of the connector that pinches onto the male end that slides into the female end isn't making good connection. And that happens. It could have happened during the removal procedure, just out of coincidence. So this is the connector that I have. I've unplugged it. Now, I told you wrong. It's a white, and it's like kind of a gray and blue looking wire. I couldn't see it very well. And we've got a green and black wire. Those two seem to mess with this thing. And don't ask me why it would mess with the mass airflow sensor's baro sensor that's in the mass airflow sensor. It would also, the fuel pressure would just go really wacky on the high side where it was monitoring both sides of the fuel rail and the high side injector. It would just show astronomical high numbers of like 9,000 PSI. I'm like, what the heck? And so I've already taken the part loose that goes up and around, that's mounted behind. I took this thing off that's behind here and pulled up the sensors out, checked the connector and looked for shorts, and that thing looks fine. I don't see any shorts in the wire right here, and I only wiggled the wire at the base of it. That's all I did. I didn't mess with anything else, and so I don't think that I've got a shorted wire down the line yet. So for some reason, I feel like when I'm moving this wire that it's causing an issue with this connector right here, and then for whatever reason, it makes other things go kind of crazy, maybe. That's the best I can come up with because it darn sure did it on the computer when I was moving it in the engine. You could tell when it did what it did. So let me get this thing up. I'd like to do this on camera, but we've got to pop this plastic piece out very carefully, not breaking it. This is part of it. Then in behind it, there'll be a release tab, and I'll try my best to explain, but using both hands, I'm going to need, it's going to be hard to do camera action and do this at the same time. But I'm focusing on these two end wires right here. And if it's broken, I'm going to have to figure out a piece to put back in there. And I don't know if I've got any small harness connectors in that box of wire that I have up under there, but hopefully I do. So you can see where I've got removed that piece that was inside of there. And look at all that corrosion. That's kind of strange. Because this thing would run pretty good until it warmed up. You see that this little holes right here on the side? I used a small little pocket screwdriver and kind of got up underneath it through that hole to pop that plastic piece up. I wonder if this is a common issue. That's pretty strange. So anyways, deep down inside of there, it's hard to use both hands, but there's I'll try to prop the connector where it'll stay put. Ooh, gotta be careful. Don't want to. I need to get in there to the little release mechanisms. And I'll try to get my screwdriver. Right in the downside, there's a small little release mechanism. I'll get it loose and I'll show you. And I'm going to be really careful not to damage this thing. So let me get it released. So looking in here, it doesn't look bad. I don't see the corrosion on the connector part, but you can darn sure look in there and you can see it in there. But I do know for a fact that, especially earlier, it kind of got itself worked out and it was working there. I mean, it's hard for me to even show you on camera what it was doing, but when it was good and warmed up, it was like butter. I mean, it would just go on and just go crazy, especially when I wiggled this one wire by itself. And the wire itself feels like it's intact. I don't feel it stretchy, but we're going to, and the tab is still in place. It's like the little part that kind of pinches down is still there. So I'm gonna have to try to work that, just kind of bend it out, get some more contact on there, hopefully get some contact cleaner and clean that corrosion out and fix this other one that I noticed was a little wonky as well. I mean, you can even see it in the there's some green stuff right there. It looks like, I don't know what that is. It doesn't look like any kind of dielectric grease that I've ever seen. It almost looks like it's a form of a little bit of acidic corrosion in there. So we'll clean that up, some contact cleaner, and then we'll put it together and we'll run it. Because if I let this thing get good and warmed up, it would just do crazy stuff. So we'll see what happens after I let it sit there and run for a while. Yeah. All right, we'll see what happens. Quickly, what I've got to kind of reform this is matter of fact, came off of, let me get my fingers in here, get this off. This is actually a pin that they put in tensioners for timing belt tensioners and timing chain tensioners. I kind of wielded it down a little bit on the end there, so it's tapered, and I'm able to slide that behind that little foil that makes the pinch on the connector, and I'm just kind of gingerly pushing it in there to reform that. Hopefully we'll make better connection on that. Checking that really well. I'm gonna do the other one like that and just see what happens, and hopefully we can have a success out of this. Okay, so live data. Let's just see if any of that made a difference. Barometric pressure sensor holding steady at 14.36 psi, which is our, like I said, the barometric sensor is part of the mass airflow sensor. That's what that is, and so. Right now we're holding steady. Before it was all erratic, and even when I've just turned the switch on, and then the engine then would not start. I hit the start button, wouldn't do a thing. And because I've got it on this lifter, and I'm going to lift it back up and watch everything, I can't open the door. But, check engine light currently is on, so I want to clear that, and then I'm going to start the vehicle up and let it run. Let's go back. DTC feed. It's gonna have a bunch. Well, I may or may not have a bunch of codes. I don't know. Let's just see. Because I don't know. Yeah, I love this computer. It's a great device, but it sure is slow. Yeah, fuel rail pressure sensor incorrect. Sensor voltage, barometric pressure circuit intermittent erratic. All the stuff that's related to what I was telling you earlier. Because fuel rail sensors would go nuts when that thing was messing up. So let's go to erase these codes. See if they'll go away. I mean, there'll be a chance that you'll see some established codes that'll still have to run. This thing goes pretty deep, so you'll see that's kind of normal, maybe. So check engine light should be out. I'll see that. I've seen that before, and it not be a current MIL, it's just where it was going on beforehand. So to do this, I've got to push down on, might have to let go of the camera because I can't open the door because of the running board. So, the check engine light is out right now. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to start there because I noticed something going weird. Go to live data and just see what we got going on here. We're gonna narrow things down a little bit. That's good right there. That's good. Oh, give me that. I want that right there. That and that. I think that's show selected. Okay, so that's good. Right now that's looking really good. I've got to let it run for a little bit and get good and warmed up and see if it stays right. So you got a pressure sensor on both sides of the fuel rail under the intake, and they won't exactly match up because the injectors are pulsing, so you're going to see a little differentiation of pressure, but you want them to be somewhat close. That's a good sign. This is the pressure at the high pressure pump where it's going into the rail that splits off to the two high pressure injectors. And then this is that baro sensor. The only reason why I've got that on there is because it would do crazy stuff. And this is the fuel pump pressure that's being commanded to go to the high pressure pump, the one that's in the tank right there. So that's normal. And it's running. So that's good. So now, like I said, I'm going to let it run for a while, and let's just see if this clears this thing up. Well, so I did all that, went on in the connector, and it's still acting up. Something is really weird here. And I'm going to move this wire. You can see my pressure going all crazy on the fuel rail A and B. You can see at the regular fuel rail pressure at the pump is doing something crazy. You can see the baro sensor going all over the place. Fuel gauge. Fuel pressure gauge for the fuel pressure on the the low pressure pump. Now I'm gonna grab this one wire up here and I'm gonna pull down on it, this very end wire, and it's gonna stabilize. You see that? The baro sensor does. And it's kind of normal to see pressure that high because I've got the switch on, of course. Let me move it around and you're going to see it go crazy here. There it goes, same wire. Well, actually, it's a couple of wires here. So something is definitely in that connector. If I grab it and stabilize it, we're good. You see that? Well, get this one wire, this very one end wire, that gray and blue stripe, I believe is what it was. The one at the very end over there. So, you know, it makes me wonder if it's in the pigtail above it, which I didn't tear. I took the pigtail out and checked it, but I didn't really go and like strip it all down like I did the one on the bottom. Because usually just the part that pinches it. What this thing aggravate me. You can see that right there. I'm going to stabilize it. And we're good. If I move it and the one beside it, bam, it goes crazy. So, back to the drawing board. All right, so this is my last resort for, you've seen that I've worked on the other part of the connector, and it still does the same thing. So, what we're going to do is we're going to hardwire this section of harness here to the vehicle, back to the vehicle harness. We're going to cut both sections out. I'm soldering and heat shrinking each piece individually, which takes a ton of time. I'm using, regular solder and all that fancy dancy stuff. We've got heat shrink tubing. Yes, this is my workbench of everything on here. So don't laugh at me. People in the comment section are like, that's a messy bench. I know where everything's at. We're good. A lot of production out of here. So each wire is going to be cut and spliced. I had to match the colors the best I could. I've got a color code chart here to go back to the harness. And we're going to just do away with this hardwire. And by the way, there's not an issue with this because everything is disconnected at the sensor here, right here. And if I need to change something, we're not in peril unless we have to. Even if I have to remove the engine again, we can unhook everything from right here, pull the harness down, and it'll be fine. This is not necessarily needed, so we're going to be okay, just for the record. But this will eliminate any of these pins that are problematic. I tried to work on it. And then we're going to see what happens. I think we're going to have it fixed then, okay? So there's, just to give you an idea, back under here, like I said, we've got this connector that we worked on and tried our best to repair it, but we can't. And there's nothing physically wrong with what we did in the install, but just the pins don't hold up very well. We're going to do away with that. Here we go. So what we've done now is we've got each wire soldered properly, heat shrinked, double, small section to, and then another long section to seal these things off. Then I'm going to use some really good electrical tape, the 3M kind, and I'm going to put the protection back on this wire and get it back into this little section right here so that it's aiming in the right way, keeping it away from the pulley and everything. This takes a lot of time, but like I say, this is how you need to do things so that it won't give any trouble. So I'll get that done. 7 wires total, and now we'll have to reposition this harness back up into the vehicle, get it hooked in, then we're gonna splice it into that. This is what it looks like. I've reattached it, made it look really good, really nice, happy, fun wire harness. Like I say, I've made a crossover chart so I can, because I didn't have the exact color-coded wire. But hopefully I wrote that stuff down right. We'll find out here in a minute, but let's get it back up in there now. Look, we got, you don't know who that is right there, but he's gonna be on YouTube. But anyhow, and we got Cookie too. Say hi, Cookie. Anyway, so now we've got all these wires back up. And they're a little longer than normal, but I ran around the back, and now I can wiggle everything around. I've got to place them back in that little harness and whatnot. But now we can wiggle off.
Oh my God.
So now I can wiggle everything around and we don't have any fluctuation in our pressure sensor or anything. So that's going to take care of it right there and stuff. So if you've swapped engines with one of these and you run into that issue with it not starting or cutting off and crazy numbers on your baro sensor, fuel rail sensor, and oil light and all that, lo and behold, it'll be tied together with some craziness like you just saw right here watching this video. And that's all double shrink. It's been soldered in place. You can't get any better than that right there. Thank you guys for watching.